Relieve, Respond, Revive. WSFL-TV presents The Rebound, South Florida.
I started hearing what was, the conditions under which I would have to work, and I didn't think that those conditions were optimal, were safe.
Florida teachers making a difficult choice, leaving the careers they love to keep themselves and their families healthy. The massive shortages school districts across the state are facing. Election Day is less than a month away. Many voters are choosing not to go to the polls. And with so many questions about mail-in ballots, we want to make sure you have the answers you need. Families across South Florida still struggling to make ends meet. How the kindness of others is touching hearts across our area. The Rebound South Florida starts right now.
Tonight, 6 weeks after most Florida schools open their campuses to students, we're learning hundreds of Florida teachers are still fleeing the classroom.
All summer long, I thought that I was going back.
I used to think I was going to be a lifer.
They are Florida teachers who believe the mix of COVID in the classroom left them with no other choice but to flee from campus.
I wanted to make the decision that I felt was right for me.
For the past 3 years, Carolina Tave was deemed a highly effective elementary school teacher in Pinellas County. This year, she resigned just days before classes began.
I started hearing what was, the conditions under which I would have to work, and I didn't think that those conditions were optimal, were safe.
After spending 6 weeks trying to teach both in-person and virtual to special ed students in St. Johns County, Danielle Raposa decided to leave last Friday.
I was doing about 12 conferences a day in a 7.5-hour time span and expected to make miracles happen.
For the past month, we've combed through school district records around the state, seeking the number of teachers who have resigned, retired, or took a leave of absence since the start of school. We found hundreds. In St. Lucie County, 36 teachers dropped out halfway into the first semester, double the number this time last year. In Orange County, 118 teachers are gone, a 25% increase from this time last year. And in Hillsborough County, a district spokesperson told us they have 100 more teachers on leave right now versus a year ago. Not an unusual pattern, a district spokesperson told us in an email, adding they're not concerned.
It is not normal at all.
But the president of the state's teachers union is concerned. While there are various reasons why teachers leave in the middle of a semester, Florida's union points to the state's mandate to reopen campuses during a pandemic.
We know right now that school districts have massive shortages. They had it before COVID. It's been increased under COVID.
But by how much isn't known. The union, which has a pending lawsuit against the state for forcing in-person instruction, typically tracks teacher shortage numbers, but hasn't been able to get a reliable count this year. In Pinellas County, a district spokesperson reports 32 openings for both instructional and non-instructional staff. And search teacher on Palm Beach County's district website, and you'll get more than 850 job listings. Danielle and Carolina have moved on.
I do not regret the decision that I made under the current conditions.
Both now work for the state-run Florida Virtual School after hoping to make the classroom work, but realizing this year the risks versus rewards.
You can only do so much.
We reached out to Florida's Department of Education for statewide numbers and new efforts to try to reduce these separations during the school year, but have yet to hear anything back. Katie Legrone, WSFL TV.
We're just 26 days away from the election, and many are wondering what it will be like at the polls, especially with the COVID restrictions. If you are thinking about mailing in your ballot, there are a few things the League of Women Voters wants you to know. Monica Elliott, president of the League of Women Voters in Broward County, says voters who want to vote by mail should request their ballots as soon as possible.
If you wait until the last minute to request a vote by mail ballot, it's going to be mailed to you. It has to be mailed to you. But you should not return it via mail. You should either take it to an early voting site or to one of the 2 SOE offices in Broward County.
Monica recommends to mail out your ballot before October 19th. Any day after that, she says you should drop your ballot off at any of the early voting sites.
It's important to note that on the Monday, November 2nd, and on Election Day, November 3rd, The only places that you can drop off your ballot is at the SOE offices.
Now that important dates are out of the way, let's talk about how to fill out your ballot. First, make sure you have a ballpoint pen.
Do not use like a magic marker because that will kind of seep through the ballot, but just a plain black pen. All you have to do is fill in the oval, not a check mark, not an X. You don't want any stray marks on the ballot.
Next, place it into the privacy sleeve that's provided and seal it in the return envelope. And don't forget to sign it.
Clear as to how your signature should look. We recommend looking at your Florida driver's license or your Florida ID. And however you have signed those documents, that's the way to sign your return envelope. And then add the date that you sign it.
If you're concerned about your ballot never getting to the supervisor of elections,
you can also track your ballot. If you decide to mail it, and then you can go online at the supervisors of elections website and see that they received it and that they counted. And if you see any issues, you can contact them. If not, I'm sure they will contact you.
Here are some important dates to remember. The last day to request a vote-by-mail ballot is October 24th. It's recommended to mail out your ballot by October 19th. And once early voting is done, you have until 7 p.m. on Election Day to drop your ballot at your county's SOE offices. We know this is a lot of information and important dates. For the Rebound Rundown, you can head to WSFLTV.com and click Vote 2020.
Here's what's next on the Rebound South Florida. For months, the White House Coronavirus Task Force has given Florida weekly recommendations to fight COVID-19. But Florida is not sharing that information with the public. We're digging for answers. WSFL-TV is celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month by recognizing Latinos making a big difference in the community. How one local woman is giving foster children a hope for the future.
I'm Forrest Saunders at the Capitol. For months now, the White House Coronavirus Task Force has given Florida weekly reports and recommendations on how to fight COVID-19. But unlike other states, Florida isn't making them readily available to the public. For weeks, Liz Esley White with the Center for Public Integrity has been trying to get copies of every state's task force report, the nonprofit using them to create an online database anyone can use.
They're really important reports for us to get an idea of what the federal picture of the pandemic is looking like.
Each has a trove of info on COVID spread, testing numbers, and more. The federal task force also offering virus control recommendations to state and local leaders.
What governors should be doing, what different states should be doing in terms of testing, in terms of, whether to recommend that bars close, things like that.
White's effort to compile the reports hitting a snag, however. 13 states haven't gotten back to her, including Florida.
I'm confident that I was ignored from the governor's office in Florida.
The White House has said the reports can be made public. In fact, Oklahoma regularly publishes them online. But in the Sunshine State, the governor's office directed us to the public records system, which can often take weeks or months to fulfill. That's delay epidemiologists tell us isn't ideal.
With the COVID pandemic, if the information is not timely, it's essentially worthless.
Mary Jo Trepka, the epidemiology chair at Florida International, says while the state is releasing a lot about COVID-19, these reports could only further help the public.
Accurate, timely information is powerful and helps people and helps also our policy leaders as we're making our difficult decisions.
A few of Florida's reports have leaked online, others posted by journalists who waited out those long info requests. An analysis shows some of the federal recommendations offered aren't being followed, like in August, when the task force called for a statewide mask mandate in counties with 50 or more active cases. Instead, the governor letting counties decide on their own.
The virus is changing daily, and people need information to make decisions.
White says she'll keep pushing for the information, believing it to be in the public's interest. Whether Florida officials agree and cut back red tape remains to be seen. At the Capitol, Forrest Saunders, WSFL-TV.
Communities across South Florida are impacted by the pandemic. Many are struggling to feed their families. But during these hard times, organizations are stepping up to help those in need. This week, Miami-Dade College's medical campus hosted a food drive. Our chief photojournalist, Ismael Lewis, was there.
So what we're doing is helping the community. We are teamed up with FarmShare to provide food for this community. makes me feel great that we're able to partnership with such a great organization to help our community, especially in these rough times. So the community, as you can see, is well ready to receive this food to help their families. So we are greatly appreciative of this partnership. We're giving them a little of different type of produce, milk, orange juices, chicken, vegetables, and so on. So it's a full meal for the family.
It makes me feel really good, especially seeing it in this scenario. We've never done it this way through the garage. We've typically had people come on campus. So just to see the number of people coming today is a really great feeling.
Well, as you know, Miami-Dade College is always here to help community. We are a beacon in the community. We give food not only to families, but of course, you know, pets, animals. So we have dog food, we have cat foods also, because they're part of the family also, they need to eat.
It was always hard because since I would use my mom's cell phone sometimes, she would take it with her, and sometimes I couldn't do my homework.
Struggling with remote learning. Next on the Rebound South Florida, how lack of access to technology is impacting students. And we want to help South Floridians get back to work. Still ahead, the local company that wants to see your resume. Getting through this with stories to help get back on track as we rebound in South Florida.
Many college students are supposed to be going back to school behind a screen, but some tell me they don't have the essential tools to get by, like their own laptop or reliable internet. The pathway to higher education has never been without barriers, but trying to break through them during a pandemic can crack an already fragile foundation.
I'm doing everything for my family so that they can feel proud of me, and I can keep going forward and get a good job so that I don't end up in the fields.
While long hours can reap little reward for migrant farm workers, many work in hopes to pass down a better life for their children.
My name is Maria Salvador. I'm 19 years old.
Born in the central coast of California, Maria's parents came here from Oaxaca, Mexico.
They always tell me we have to keep studying, we have to keep learning and keep growing so that we can get a good job, so that we don't suffer the way they suffered.
But that studying made more difficult by the lack of access to a laptop.
It was always hard because since I would use my mom's cell phone sometimes, she would take it with her, and sometimes I couldn't do my homework.
And when the pandemic derailed her final months of high school, Maria and her sister worked in the fields to help their family.
With the whole pandemic came a lot of financial hardships for families where there wasn't before.
Sonia Zapian-Torres works to get these students from the fields to college.
They might not understand what are the requirements again to graduate high school. You know, what classes do I need to take?
She says virtual learning has made that process a lot harder.
I would definitely want to be on campus.
A week after classes began, the organization Mixteco was able to secure Maria a laptop. But it's an issue not unique to just her.
Our students are not only falling behind, but then they're getting graded for not showing up to these virtual classes where it's really not even up to them, right?
Maria's school, Oxnard College, found 20% of its students don't have access to internet, basic software programs, or computers. They serve a population that's 60% first-generation students. But despite the challenges, they've been able to fulfill every laptop request.
And they see the struggles of their families, and working in the field is not something that they want to do.
While the job of advocates has grown more complicated, they say their efforts matter more now than ever before. I'm Amanda Brandeis reporting.
As part of the Rebound, WSFL TV is committed to helping South Floridians get back to work. Each Thursday, we'll highlight a local company that's hiring, and this week, one of the largest residential property management firms wants you to join their team. From housekeeping to senior manager positions, KW Property Management and Consulting is looking to hire over 100 employees. Requirements for each position vary. The company, which is located in Doral, has been around for 16 years and has over 1,700 employees. We have more information on KW Property Management and Consulting on our website. Just go to WSFLTV.com and click Rebound. You'll find details on the positions available and how to apply.
She helped me in such a dark time to get the help that I needed.
WSFL TV is celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month by recognizing members of our communities who are making a big difference in the lives of many. How one local woman is giving foster children a hope for the future. Next on the Rebound South Florida.
It's Hispanic Heritage Month, and each week here on The Rebound, we're recognizing Latinos in our community who've impacted the lives of South Floridians. Tonight, we introduce you to a woman who's been helping young people out of foster care for many years.
She helped me in such a dark time to get the help that I needed.
Selenia Bahamundi had a rough upbringing. When her mother died, her grandmother took her in. Then she subsequently entered foster care.
It was definitely kind of like a culture shock because like my grandmother is very like old-fashioned, and we would stay home, like focus on school. And then when I moved to foster care, a lot of girls weren't like that.
From Puerto Rico, Christine Frederick is the CEO of the Flight Center in Fort Lauderdale. The nonprofit guides the aging youth out of foster care. In her many years of helping people in the community find their way, Christine met Selenia when she was 5 years old.
A lot of us that work in the system of care have been here for a long time, and that stability really helps our young people to know that they have familiar faces over the span of their lifetime.
According to AdoptUsKids.org, there are about 19,000 children in foster care in Florida. Christine says last year they served over 1,500 young adults in South Florida.
We helped over 400 with housing and placed about 390 of those in actual apartment units. And I want to say our number for housing is 443. 100% of those youth received move-in baskets, so items for their apartment, beds, furniture that has been donated that we coordinate throughout the whole county, and emergency needs services. About 140 youth who were helped with employment skills, training, and placement. We have 17 that graduated from GED.
Along with housing services, Flight Center has helped people, including Selenia, find jobs. Currently, Selenia is an intern for the nonprofit.
She's super focused, has really done a lot of work on herself and not allowing her journey through foster care to hinder her progress and to affect the fact that she wanted to break cycles from her childhood to be a really good parent.
The mother of one says even though she's had a traumatic childhood, she's using her experience to help others.
I remember when I was young, I was very entitled. I had no idea what the world was about. And I get to kind of see like some of the looks on other youth's faces. And I really, even if it's a small nudge or a small something, you can say something like, hey, I know.
Selenia told me she has a 4-year-old boy and says he's the light of her life and one of the many reasons why she keeps moving forward. If you or someone you know is in need, you can call the Flight Center at 954-530-4686. There are countless reasons why we love South Florida, from the warm weather to the people and the cultural diversity. Anyone can agree there is no place like home. Every week, we want to hear from you what you love about the community you live in. Tonight, we leave you with Jennifer Frione in Plantation.
It's a great area to kind of relax when I get the time. Some days my husband will surprise me with the kids or something, and we'll just go take walks around all the little lakes and all the greenery around here, which I absolutely love. That's actually one of my favorite parts about Plantation is that it's so green. There's always a nice little place to go for a walk with the kids to kind of check out nature. I think you get the small town feel in Plantation, even though it's not that tiny.